All right, guys, it is Jordan Bellinger again. We are back for our buyer series on how to buy a house in 12 steps. We are on step 2 of the process. Step 2 is the buyer consultation. This is where you make or break almost everything. So the buyer consultation is where we meet and we'll go over 3 things. We want to get to know each other. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me or your real estate agent. Secondly, I want to walk you through what the process looks like. That's basically what these videos are. We do that in person. Because if you haven't bought a house through us, if you haven't bought a house in Texas, or if you've never bought a house before, it's a good idea to go through all this, understand what you're doing and how the process looks from start to finish. And third, put together a game plan. So that's the buyer consultation. The biggest chunk about the buyer consultation is needs assessment. And it sounds like a technical term, but all it is figuring out what you want, what you need, and more importantly, why you want or need it. And the why is the most important piece of that conversation because it tells me or tells our team how exactly you're going to use a space. For example, I need a 3-car garage. Great. How are you going to use that 3-car garage? For a 3rd car or storage? Somebody goes, oh, no, I have a woodworking shop. I've had a client, woodworking shop. I need a 4th car. I also need it to be tall enough to put a lift in. What else have I had? Storage, projects, Christmas decorations, 3rd car garage. So there's tons of different reasons. So why do you need a 3rd car garage? Because the better I understand why you need that space or why you need something in your house or want it, I can see that picture and I might be able to provide solutions that you might not think about. So buyer needs. I've been using literally a lot, but I have a form. I got it from a whole bunch of different places, but it's my form or it's our form. And it's got some silly questions on here, but you'll kind of see where I'm going with this as we get in. It has name and phone number and email and legal name for contracts and all that stuff. But here we go. Who is the primary contact information and what's the best way to contact you? If there's more than one person involved in the transaction, who's my number one contact, if any? There doesn't need to be one. Can one of you make a decision or both if you need to be involved? This isn't really for the big picture. It's for like the small things. We send in an offer. They counter back. Can I talk to one of you? And that one person say, yep, that's good. We'll counter with this. Let's go ahead and go with it. Or do I need to talk to both of you? Now, both of you need to sign the contract, obviously, and all the paperwork if you're both involved in the transaction or more than just 2 people. However, when you're looking at that, it's beneficial because we might find that, nope, both of you need to be involved in every decision, and that's okay. Or maybe one of you makes all the financial decisions and the other one just has veto power. Like I find that when we buy a house, I have veto power. I don't really pick most of the stuff, but and obviously me and my wife have a lot of similarities. But when it comes to the financial piece of the contract or the house, and when it comes to the veto power, that's about all the power I have. Otherwise, she's basically picking everything, and that's fine. I like that. But if there's some things that I don't like, I have the power to say, no, that's not going to work. So I need to know how that dynamic works. So that's a deep conversation to have, but I need to understand how that works so I know that we're connecting, we're speaking on the same level, and we're understanding about what we need to understand during the transaction, during all steps of the transaction. Next, what's prompting your move? When's your ideal move date? So what's prompting your move? Why are you moving? Why did you call me? Why did you reach out? Why are you moving now? Why are you selling now? Why are you buying now? Why? Why? Because that's going to give me an idea. You're like, hey, my lease expires in 2 months. I need to give 30-day notice. Okay, well, we need to have this thing wrapped up in about a month because you need to give notice, yada. Or, okay, can you stand that lease month to month? Is that an option for the landlord? And is that an option financially? Because they typically charge you more than that. If we don't find a house in 2 months, do you have other alternative places to live? Now, it helps us paint a picture of the timeline and what we need to do to get you in a home in the time you want, for the price you want, and in buying the home you want. Do you own a home? Is your home listed? Do you lease a home? When does your lease end? Again, just simple information that you really need to know as a real estate agent to understand how to help your clients best. And I'm sure real estate agents are watching this too. So do that. And take this, copy and paste it. I mean, you can't copy and paste it because you don't have the form, but I'm telling you everything that's on here, and there might be other things that I add over time. Actually, there definitely are things that I add over time. But anyways, so let's go back to it. So we're back up to, are you pre-approved for a mortgage? You might already have a lender you're working with. What price would you like to stay under? Well, let's talk about that price. How did you come up with that price? Are you attached to a price for a house? Are you attached to a loan? How did you calculate that loan? Most loan payments are principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. It's a little bit different than a car payment. Car payment is typically is typically principal and interest. A house payment is typically principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And what that is, those last two are, is they're escrowed in your mortgage payment, so you're not writing these big checks at the beginning of your insurance period and at the end of the tax year. So a little bit different there. We want to see where that number is coming from. If you're like, oh, I want to stay under 300. Okay, well, where did you come up with that number? Did you use a calculator online? Because a lot of calculators online don't have tax and insurance. So that $300,000 might be a lower payment than it actually is. And that's why we get you the lender, so that they're painting the right picture of what all that finance looks like. Down payment, closing costs, mortgage payment. Do you have an ideal location? What's your max commute times? Where do each of you work? If there's more than one party, what times of day are you going to work? Right? Because if you're going to work at 4 a.m. or 10 a.m. or some weird times, you're not going to run into traffic. So that commute times are going to be different based on where you work, where you want to live, and what time you're leaving. See? Simple questions, but they tell you so much that you need to know. Are schools important? Some people, no. Some people, absolutely. Talk about that. How are you finding your school ratings? If schools are important, how are you choosing schools? Do you want to look at houses based on school district or based on city or based on county? How do you want to search schools? Because you can. A lot of people search a house based on school district. They're like, I don't care if I'm in Plano or Frisco as long as I'm in Frisco ISD. And yes, you can live in, there's certain parts of Plano that go to Frisco ISD. Little Elm, parts of Little Elm goes to Frisco ISD. Parts of McKinney goes to Frisco ISD. Anyways. Do you have pets? What kind of pets? Are they tiny little dogs or are they really big dogs like ours? Is it a hamster? Is it a bird? Is it a... I had somebody ask me about some kind of turtle. It was like an endangered species turtle, and they weren't sure if they could have it in Texas. I said, I don't know the answer to that. And so they had to... I was like, I recommend you research that on your own because I don't have the answer. But that's a good question to have. Do you have a preference for when the house is built? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Let's talk about that. And a lot of these are questions that you're going to get into. So like, hey, do you have a preference on when the house is built? And we start having that conversation and we figure out other things that might be relevant to you buying a house. Do you want a house that's move-in condition? Or are you willing to do some work on a scale from 0 to 10 or 1 to 10 or 0 to 10? Doesn't really matter. But a 10 is going to be a brand new house. Number one, there's not really 10s out there, but there are turnkey houses. It's going to be 10 is going to be a brand new house or a house that has been fully renovated. Anything less than that, it could be pre-owned. So if you tell me a 10, we're buying a new home. If you tell 8 or 9, we're probably buying a newer home or newer, not necessarily brand new, but newer, or something that's been completely remodeled. So, and we'll have that conversation. If you tell me a 7, I'll start asking, hey, are you okay with replacing appliances? Are you okay with replacing flooring? Are you okay with painting everything? Get this picture in my head so that I understand what you're saying and what you're feeling and what you're thinking is in my head. It sounds creepy, but it's important. Trust me. What type of home are you looking for? Single family, townhouse, condo, duplex, things like that. So some people are like, nope, single family only. Some people are like, oh, I'd be open to a townhome. Or, hey, what's a condo? Okay, let's talk about that. Again, I want to get a picture of exactly what you want or what you think you want. Because sometimes we'll go through this and we'll start looking at stuff, or maybe we start having these conversations. We find that, you know what you thought you want when you walked in the door is not what you want after I start asking you a bunch of these questions. What size house are you looking for? Some people are like, I don't want anything bigger than blank. Some people are like, I don't want anything smaller than blank. So what size house are you looking for? And then basic questions. How many beds? How many baths? Do you want a garage? How many garage spaces? Do you want front entry? Do you want rear entry? Do you want a swing garage? Do you want it attached to the house? Do you want it detached from the house? Does your garage have to have space to park in front of it, like a driveway? How many spots? Going deep, right? This one's always a tough question for most people. Tell me what your ideal home looks like inside. And then same question, outside. In this, it's just that's kind of a all-encompassing question of you just saying what you envision your house to look like. And again, that's painting a picture of what you're looking for in my head so that I can help you find what you want, what you need. Both. This is another good question. So, what space in your home do you use the most? Think about it. Most likely, you said living room, kitchen. Am I right? I'm not a magician, but I've done this a while. If I'm wrong, and it's not, Tell me, because I'm curious what other answers are out there. Had a client, met with them, their referral from another client, and sat down with them. I said, hey, what do you, and their family was mom, dad, and I think their kids were very energetic. So I don't think I could ever count all of them, but there were at least 5 of them. And so I asked them, what space in the home do you use most? And in your next home, what space do you envision using most? They said, master bedroom. I'm thinking, what? What are you doing in the master bedroom with that huge family that you have? I didn't say that. I thought that. And I said, okay, walk me through how you use that master bedroom. And they said, well, in the morning, we get the kids ready for school, or the wife stays at home. She gets the kids ready for school, feeds them, watches cartoons, hangs out on the bed and like whatever, while the dad gets ready for work. And so that's their family time. Every single day they have that family time. I was like, that's really cool. Not really my thing. I mean, I don't have kids, so maybe it will be, but it wasn't really, I didn't understand it. I thought it was strange, but that's how they lived their life. That's how they wanted to live their life. And that's how they envisioned their current life and their future life with the family and all of that. And I said, great. I said, what you're telling me with that is you want a master bedroom with a sitting area or a living room attached to it. Husband looks at me and goes, that's a thing? I said, oh yeah, that's a thing. And that's what you need. And he goes, yes, that's what I need. So guess what they bought? They bought a house with a master bedroom that had a large pop-out area that was plenty of room for a couple of chairs and a table, another couch. And it was a good sized room, even with a king bed. And so that was just something off that question where you're like, oh, great. Okay, that's the space you use those. How do you see yourself using that? How do you use it? Yada, yada, yada. Here's another one. I think I added this one recently. Walk me through what you like doing in your free time. What do you do when you're at home? What do you like doing when you're, or what? So what do you like? What do you do when you're at home? What would you like to do when you're in your new home? So, because when we're buying a house, I think a lot of people are envisioning their life to be a little bit different, maybe a lot different, because they're like, I'm going to have this nice backyard and this pool and this outdoor kitchen, so I'm going to use that. We're going to cook breakfast out there every Saturday morning with the kids. We're going to put pancakes on the griddle. We're going to hang out in the pool. We're going to put the fire pit on, and your life's going to be different. So that's a good piece to know. But the other side is, how do you currently use your home? And also, how do you want to use your home, your next home? So that, again, it's a wide question, a wide open question to have that conversation around kind of what you're looking for, why you're looking for it, what you want to do with it, all of that stuff. In the last page is just top 5 things. It's my summary page, and where I go, okay, everything we've talked about, this is the most important. Do you agree with that? Yeah, that's the most important. Great. Next one. What's the second most important? That. And we usually just get like 2 or 3 things down there, but it gives us an idea. The number one focus is this thing. And one of the most common things is, guess it, open living room and kitchen in a space right there for entertaining and like a good feel, right? That's the number one reason for most people. And so what happens is, if we find a house and it's a galley kitchen over in the corner of the house and it's blocked off, we're not even bother looking at it. Because even if you're like, oh, I love this house, I'm going to go, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, remember when we talked about, and what I do is I take this document, fill it out, I save it to my documents under your name so that I can come back to it at any time. If you're not ready to purchase for 6 months, when you call me back and you're like, hey, I'm ready to start looking again, great. I pull it up. Is this still what you're looking for? Sometimes you say yes, sometimes you say no, but that's what you're looking for. And so I pull it up and I go through there. So let's say I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, or Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you said that the most important thing to you was having an open kitchen and open living room for entertaining. This house has none of that. Would you still like to look at it? If you do, cool, we'll go look at it. If you don't, we're not going to waste our time, because we did all this work to figure out what you're really looking for. So important. That is the second part of the process. I kind of skipped over the first. The first is just talking about getting to know each other. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your people and your dogs and your cats and all that, so I can understand kind of what your life looks like. And then I'll tell you about me, like my real estate career, what I did before real estate, what's important to me in my business. Because I want to make sure it's a good fit. You have to be a good fit for me, and I have to be a good fit for you, because at the end of the day, if you don't like working with me, chances are I don't like working with you. That's just the truth. So if we find out we're not a good fit, might as well cut it off there. If you need another real estate agent that's a better fit for you, I have a ton of referrals. But I get along with most people. So there's that. And then the second part was walking through the whole process and figuring out the buyer needs or your needs as a purchaser of a new home or a new to you home. And then the last part is putting together a game plan. So do you need to close on a house? Do you need to move in 30 days? Great. We need to find a house today to write a contract. We do. Are you looking at 60 days? Great. We're going to start looking now. Hey, you need to be out of your place by 6 months from now. Okay. Well, if you found a house today, would you be ready to pull the trigger and sign a contract and close in 30 days? If your answer is yes, great. Let's start looking. If your answer is no, great. When does that time start? Most of the time, like people are in a lease or they're moving in the area, they have like a 2-month time frame, 2-3 month time frame. They're like, I can buy a house and close on it any time in this time period. And so if I close in that time, I'm good. If I close earlier than that, there's a little more expenses that I want to do. If I close later than that, then I'm homeless. You're not really homeless. A lot of times you find hotels, friends, family, whatnot. But there's this like sweet spot. So we'll focus on that. And so that's the game plan. And then we start building searches and all this other stuff to make sure that you're finding properties that fit you and modifying that. And we'll get into that later. So super, super, super important that you go through this and you have all these questions answered and you dig in really, really deep and you figure out why people want what they want. I could go on and on about this. I have so many stories about how people have surprised me on what they want because I'm not them. I'm not buying this house. You're buying the house. I can show you what I would buy for the money that you want to spend, but at the end of the day, it's not my house. I'm not going to use it the same. So I can sit here and push what I like, but what's the point? That's not what I'm doing. I'm helping you find what you need. And the better I understand you, the better I understand your family, the better I understand your kids or your dogs, or your parents, or whoever is involved in this transaction and involved in living in that home, that is how I'm going to help you find exactly what you want. And you're not going to call me 2 years later going, Jordan, I bought the wrong house. It happens sometimes, but that's why we put so much effort into this, is because we want to make sure you find a house that fits what you want for however long you want to be there. So, like I said, I could go on, but I'm not. Next video is going to be obtaining financial pre-approval, probably a short video. I say that now, but I'll probably go on a tangent. But anyways, thanks so much. We covered buyer consultation in our 12 steps to buy a home, and we're going to do financial pre-approval next. So thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.